The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation, exploring the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply wish to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, certified travel coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, aka Jess, and today is just going to be a quickie episode titled What I've Learned from Dave Gorman's Crazy Quests, my hometown hero. And yeah, I should point out I'm from Stafford in the Midlands, and I went to Walton High School, and there's not many famous people from our town or from my school. I think the only other sort of main one, which I looked up, was Jonathan or Joni Ive. Might be saying that wrong. He actually went on to be one of the designers for Apple. He helped invent the iPhone, iMac, iPod, iPad, and more. So that's pretty cool. But the main one I was aware of, sort of, I was going to say growing up, but, maybe, for the past few years at least, was Dave Gorman, who is a comedian. He's an author. He does TV shows, documentaries, and I've recently read 2 of his books, American Unchained, which I've talked about on this podcast before, where he did a road trip across America probably over 20 years ago now, where he couldn't give any money to the man. So he just went to mom and pop stores, gas stations, motels, hotels, that kind of thing. And I really enjoyed reading that book. And then I watched the documentary he did on that road trip. And if you've listened to this podcast at all, you'll know I'm a huge fan of road trips, especially in the States. I went there for a year to live in Colorado during my year abroad at uni. And I just love going on road trips, especially in the States. So I really enjoyed that. And then I recently read, I'd been aware of it before, but I just finished reading Are You Dave Gorman, which is a book. And then he also did a 5-part TV show, which is sort of him doing a talk with a slideshow, which is a lot of his stuff, called The Dave Gorman Collection. So I just watched that after it as well. And a lot of this stuff is pretty old, like it's sort of 20 years ago, but he is still doing stuff now. I think he's on a tour right now doing stand-up all over the UK. So I'd love to go and see him sometime, especially as we're from the same hometown, went to the same school, not quite the same time, but he's known in our school as being someone who actually went and achieved something, which is always nice. So yeah, I just wanted to start the podcast saying, when you're from a small town, I'm from actually a small village near that small town. But when you're from a small town and, a lot of people don't move away, a lot of people just stay in that small town, which is fine. Like I am currently recording this from the village near that small town. But it's always nice to hear when someone, air quotes, got out. Someone who left, who made a big success of themselves, had a successful career, still have a successful career. And it's just nice to have that kind of role model, I guess. And I'm not saying I want to be a comedian. I would be terrible. If you've heard this podcast at all, you know that speaking in public is like my biggest fear, even though I'm overcoming it. But stand-up, I don't think you could pay me enough to do that. I have the utmost respect for stand-up comedians. I would not be able to take the rejection, the silences, the bombed jokes. I just, no, it makes me feel physically sick. So I have a lot of respect for Dave Gorman and his ilk. And he wrote Are You Dave Gorman along with his friend or flatmate at the time, Danny Wallace. And I've also read a lot of Danny Wallace's books. He's the one who did Yes Man, which got turned into a Hollywood movie with Jim Carrey. I think they totally changed, the situation and made it American and all that stuff, but I loved the book. He also did a book about starting his own country from his flat, which I really liked. I think that was called Join Us? I'm not sure. But I really like that book too. So I really like them both as authors. And in Are You Dave Gorman? I should probably say the premise. The premise is one evening, flatmates Danny Wallace and Dave Gorman get drunk and a bet happens. Basically, Dave Gorman says, I know of another Dave Gorman. I bet there are loads of Dave Gormans in the world. Danny Wallace says, I bet you they're not. I bet there isn't loads of Dave Gormans in the world. And then it spirals from there. They end up sort of that night getting a train to Edinburgh to go and meet another Dave Gorman. They're still hungover. They have no idea why they're doing it. And it goes from there. And basically the quest is to meet 54 Dave Gormans all over the world and collect them in a little photo album. He gets a Polaroid of them all. They gets them to sign it. He shakes their hand, get a photo of that. And I love stuff like this because it is, on one hand, it is absolutely ridiculous and there's no point to it whatsoever. And it's just the silliest thing in the world. But on the other hand, like when you really think about it, isn't everything in the world just really ridiculous and silly and makes no sense and we don't know why we're doing any of it? So it's not that crazy. And also, obviously, he's a comedian, so it's going to be funny. It's very, very funny the way he's written it. The whole quest is funny. You can imagine, actually you don't have to imagine him meeting all these people because there's an insert in the middle of the book with loads of pictures of his Dave Gorman meetings. And then obviously he did the show, so they had a lot of them featured on there. But also it's just kind of life affirming. Like, I got emotional at the end of the book. I got really emotional at the end of the TV show. I had like tears in my eyes I knew what was going to happen because I'd read the book. But, you know, when he announces what happens at the end and whether or not he achieved his goal, basically, I got emotional and I'm like, why am I getting emotional at this ridiculous thing? And like I say, everything in life can be ridiculous when you look at it through a certain lens. But the whole thing I love about it is the idea of the quest. And, you know, if you're at all into TV shows, films, books, like fiction, you know, the idea of the quest comes up a lot. We have, you know, Frodo traveling to Mordor to throw the ring in the volcano. I can't remember what it's called. It's been a while since I watched or read Lord of the Rings.
Sorry for the interruption, but I just have to tell you about Jessica Grace Coleman's new book, Intentional Travel Transformation. Boost your confidence, conquer your fears, and finally become the person you've always wanted to be, which is out now. This book is part memoir, part practical guide to help you transform yourself and your life through travel. Learn about Jessica's own tale of travel transformation, read unique transformation stories from the travel buddies she's met on the road, and make your way through her travel transformation framework, a method you can follow to create your very own bespoke travel transformation strategy. Your roadmap you can use to incorporate intentional travel into all your future trips. So, have you packed your bags yet? Because it's time to flip the script on your life and transform through travel. Get Intentional Travel Transformation now from Amazon or head to www.traveltransformationcoach.com/books for more info. And now let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Well, we have Harry Potter's quest to defeat evil and Voldemort and also finish high school. A lot of our favourite heroes, and I called Dave Gorman my hometown hero in this title because, like I said, it's nice to have a role model. But also it's this idea of taking on the role of a hero in a fictional quest. But, you know, I'm sure he fictionalized bits of it for the book and stuff, but it was an actual quest. He actually did this. They actually did this. There's proof of it. But the idea of going on your own quest, I've always loved that because in fiction, you start with a character, they go on a quest, they inevitably go through a transformation of some kind. Like, they cannot not do it. There's always conflict, there's always obstacles to overcome, hurdles to jump over. But in the end, if it's, if it's an uplifting book or film or movie, you know they're probably going to achieve it, but how they get there and how it changes them is why we watch. And it made me think about my own project that I'm doing this year called Movify Your Life. I'm going to be writing a book on it. I've recorded a podcast episode on it recently, so go back and check that out if you haven't heard it already. But I'm also going to be doing my own DIY documentary, basically just me with my phone, and I've got so many ideas. I'm going to be interviewing people, I'm going to be going on trips, I'm going to be looking at the tropes and the themes of popular uplifting TV shows and movies and books, maybe going to some filming locations, finding out what makes magical movie moments that I've talked about, which I think you can get way more of when you're on the road, so on the road trip or on a quest. And basically it's just me seeing if I can movify my life in 2024. And if I can, which I'm hoping I can, because I have lots of plans for it, then I'll be able to help other people do it themselves in 2025 and beyond. So I have my own quest this year. And I want it to be serious and emotional and have meaning behind it. But having watched, a lot of Dave Gorman stuff recently and read his books, I really want it to be funny as well. Like, I'm not going to take it too seriously. I'm going to laugh at myself, laugh at, the situations I'm probably going to find myself in. And I just want it to be really fun and entertaining for people to watch, because what is the point of life if it's not fun and entertaining and a little bit ridiculous every now and then? And I talked about, how the quests he goes on, they seem kind of pointless at the start. Like, there's literally no point to it other than, it was a bet, or he was bored, or, any of the other reasons why when he starts his books and TV shows and stuff like that. But I think that can really relate to life. Like, whenever you start something, it doesn't have to have a massive point straight away. It doesn't have to be your life purpose straight away. Although I love talking about life purpose and legacy. But the whole idea is it doesn't have to have a point to start with. Often you find out what the point is along the way. And I know in Are You Dave Gorman and the show, the Dave Gorman Collection, it is a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. He makes a lot of jokes. But essentially it is about, belonging and finding your tribe and just hitting the road with your best mate and having a laugh. And you're just finding out the point of it as you go along. So we can discover this as we go along. It's like when people are making big decisions in life about where to live or what job to do or anything like that. The decision you make today about what job to have, where to live, whatever, it doesn't have to be the sole decision for the rest of your life. It's a starting point, and you can see what happens after that. Just like a crazy quest, when you start, you don't know what the point is. You don't think there's going to be a point at all. And then it turns into this amazing story that you've got to tell people for the rest of your life, or a story that can just make people smile. I was smiling so much during the Dave Gorman Collection watching that. And if you can do that for someone, I think that's a pretty cool thing. So I wanted to put that out there, because even though they're oldies, they're definitely goodies. America Unchained and Are You Dave Gorman, both by Dave Gorman. And Are You Dave Gorman is also by Danny Wallace. Check them out. Watch his documentaries, his TV shows. They'll make you laugh. They might make you cry. But hopefully they will also encourage you and motivate you and inspire you to do your own crazy quest, because why the hell not? As I always say, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. I'm always talking about how travel can transform you, intentional travel in particular, if you have a certain point to a trip. And, it all ties into what we're talking about here today. So I really want to encourage you, even if you just get drunk with your friend and come up with a random idea of somewhere to go and some kind of mission to go on, some kind of goal, no matter where it is, you don't have to get on a plane or anything like that. You can do it in your home country, your hometown, whatever. I just encourage you to go and do something outside your comfort zone, something that maybe doesn't make sense, that might not seem to have a point to it, but that's just going to be fun. Like, go on your own little quest and record it, because you never know, the story might turn into something bigger than the quest itself. So, write it down, record it, put it on social media, write a diary, whatever you do, just keep a log of it, have a great time, do something ridiculous, and hopefully you will then encourage other people to do the same. So I'm going to go on my own crazy quest this year. Please subscribe, follow this podcast to keep up to date. You can also join my mailing list. Just go to traveltransformationcoach.com. You can find me on Instagram at traveltransformationcoach. I have a Facebook group, the Travel Transformation Lounge. And yeah, keep in contact. As I said in my other podcast episode about Movify Your Life, I am going to be needing help with this. So if you want to be in a documentary, go back and listen to that episode. It is episode number 113. So you can go to traveltransformationcoach.com/113, just the numbers, and you'll get the transcript, the links, the show notes, all that good stuff. Okay, so that's it for now. I encourage you to go and consume all of Dave Gorman's stuff. He's brilliant. He's from my hometown. He's from my high school. Go Walton High School. I was just thinking, I don't think we had a mascot or anything like that. Not like in, America, I could have been like, go Buffs, but no. Go Walton, yes. So go and check him out. Let me know if you want to be in the Movify Your Life documentary. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you for listening to the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate and review, and spread the word, because it's my mission to help as many people as possible to flip the script on their lives and transform through travel. And remember, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.